Sup, nerds? James here with Nerd Alert, and I'm here with my dad. And today we are talking about something I feel incredibly fortunate to have finally seen: the theatrical releases of A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi.
So there's been a lot of talk that a British theater has announced that they are going to be showing on June 12th the original theatrical film version of the original trilogy. Actually, I don't know if it's the original trilogy or just A New Hope.
I believe it's just A New Hope.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, I'm fortunate enough, way back when, I bought the DVD steelbook case for the original trilogy, and it included an unedited version of the movies Star Wars, I'm sorry, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. These, though, are DVD, like I said, and if you're not in the know, that's way okay, but let me explain. That means these are not HD. These are 480p maximum. These were definitely not transferred to be the best digital presentation. So when they say they're releasing these other films on film, we cannot compare when it comes to that because we could definitely see some deficiencies in the video quality. So I am curious what an actual film of this would look like. But so you're aware, we watched the DVD version, which is not high definition, of A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. One of the cool things about this is James, his whole life, has only ever seen the edited versions, the 97 versions, and the touch-ups they've done to that since then. And one of the famous things with George Lucas is, yes, he had a treatment for this whole idea, but it was not hammered out to what the mythos is now. Simple, like, well, Luke and Leia were not brother and sister originally. Originally, it was not Darth Vader as Luke's father. So these things, as you watch the originals that have not been edited and the story is intact from the original, there are definitely some questions that come about. But to the point, James, what did you think of this new version of Star Wars that you've never seen but had heard of?
The new version, that's the old version that George Lucas doesn't want anybody to see. I adore it. As much as I do appreciate the digital touch-ups in the new versions, and it makes them way easier to watch, way easier on the eyes. I love being able to watch a film and like see how all the different components came together to make said film. And I really appreciate that as I was watching A New Hope, I could see all the different design aspects that came together. And like, yeah, some of them are goofy. There's a droid that's just like mechanical arms, and it's like, what the hell does it do? And it's just clearly somebody just taped a bunch of shit together and they were like, oh, cool, we have a new prop. But it's like, you see those little things, and it really makes it makes me appreciate the filmmaking aspect of it so much more, because I can see the different components of it that were carried the whole way through the process. Also, it's just fun to see like the stupid arm droid show up in two movies, and it's like, you could tell they were just reusing a prop, but it's so funny.
And Gonk, we see him
Oh,
several
Gonk.
times, like,
I
hey,
love
what's up, dude?
I love Gonk. I don't know why Gonk exists, but Gonk is best droid without question. And then there's the one droid. It's the dude with the ice cream machine in Cloud City.
And it
It's
was interesting to watch it in this way. Again, it was not pristine. One of the things, like, I have very fond memories, and the one thing, we will break down some of the scenes that are very different. But one
oh
thing that I really was looking forward to was watching this unedited and in my childhood and really remembering it from that standpoint. It was rough. The quality was atrocious. You could see a lot of the blue screen effects as they, superimposed, and you're like, "Ooh, space does
oh
not look nearly as good in this version." One of the funny
yeah.
parts was, because it was 480 and they clearly didn't color correct it as well as they could have. The blacks were not as black as they should have been, so
Oh
we could
no.
see a lot of the not necessarily airs, but things in the background that I don't think necessarily we should have. But the other things like dewbacks, I remember seeing those put in for 97. I don't remember them being as clear as day as they are in the original version. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Then
To
there's
see
the
it come
single
from
guy
that,
in the back, like on the top of the dune on one, and
yes,
it's like, okay.
sure, cool. But seeing a lot of those sort of background things that we weren't really supposed to see detail of, but now you can, was very interesting. Like in the Jawa sandcrawler, seeing all the droids sort of there in the background. Similarly, in the cantina, just seeing a little more of the background. It was funny. Like we're not supposed to see that, but definitely it was there just because it was not a great quality transfer. But back to one of the first major differences, and I know it's not, we're not getting to the Han Solo one yet, was Kenobi when he first sees Luke, and what noise does he make?
I don't know. It's just some weird freaking noise.
And it's those little things that you forget, like, wow, that is a big deal. That what is that? It's a crate dragon. Oh, well, that doesn't sound scary to what it is now, where you're like, the hell is that thing? And it's like, yeah, that reverberates through the whole damn valley.
It's so interesting because it's like I mean, I do agree with some of the changes Lucas made, and then I don't agree with some of the changes Lucas made. And this is the one where it's like it doesn't change anything. So what was the point? It's like you went from just a dude making a screech noise to a like an actual dragon, and it's like, okay, this doesn't change anything, but okay.
Ever. And I mean, it's not since in 97 when he changed the sound the first time, but since that 1977 reveal of what a Krayt dragon sounds like, we've actually seen it now in, I can't remember if it was Book of Boba Fett or The Mandalorian. I think it was The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
We've seen it now. So if I associate that tiny sound with what we saw versus the big sound we now hear to what we see now, and you're one of the few people in the world that was born after 97 that has seen the original now, you'd have no clue there was a difference. No clue at all.
Exactly, and it's just interesting. It's a very interesting change. What I will say is absolutely impressive, and I think is like the status quo is the fact that like the first 10 minutes are basically untouched,
Mhm.
and that you have Tantive 4 getting captured by the Imperial starship,
Star Destroyer.
Vader coming, the Star Destroyer, Vader coming on to Tantive 4, getting to Leia, and then the droids going to the desert. All of that is basically untouched. And that is so impressive to me that it's like you basically have this 10-minute stretch of 1977 filmmaking that was so good that for 50 years now, almost, well, we're getting to 50 years, give it 2 more years, that has remained untouched and only digitally and visually touched up. It hasn't been like done over with CGI. The models and everything has been left in. It's the same acting, same everything. It's all the same, and it's so impressive to me that that has remained basically the same and so good.
That's why I really would be curious to see this on film. And usually I'm not that guy. I've been criticized about that before. I literally have been to film school. I've cut my films on film. So I'm educated about the process. I usually am not the guy like, oh, I've got to go see this on film. But in this case, to see an untouched version of Lucas's cinematography, a lot of people don't know this, but that's what he was really known for in film school. A lot of his camera choices, and he wanted to be sort of this avant-garde filmmaker and not really do stories or narratives. But I would love to see the Tunisian desert and the rocks and the sunset and all that stuff, the two suns on film with the rich saturation that the film can handle. Because digital, like HD or even 4K, is great. It looks beautiful, but it just cannot hold the spectrum of colors and information that film can and the grain. So I'd be curious to see that. Very, very
Yeah,
curious.
and there's a reason when people think of movies from the 50s, 60s, 70s, they think of those like bright colors that pop because that's what Technicolor was, and you lose some of that with digital. And it's like, yeah, you can still watch Technicolor movies, but it's like to be able to actually watch the film itself, not transferred to digital. It's like I would give gladly to be able to see that because it's such a different experience.
Well, it's funny because you asked me while we're watching the first one, how did they do this? And I'm like, well, blue
It's
screen. Like, just blue screen. I'm like, duh. And then it really got to the process of, oh my gosh, yes, it's been forever since I had to think of editing in that way. So we looked it up and it is layering upon layering upon layering to get the
oh,
shots that you want. And it's like, oh my goodness, I'd forgotten. Versus nowadays, you go into whatever program you're using, Adobe After Effects, for example, and you just bloop, take this color out, cool, add this background, cool, fix it, cool. So much easier.
I cannot fathom having to do that process on proper film. It's like, thank God we have Adobe and whatever else to run it for us because I am not the person who wants to sit in the studio for like 3 hours parsing through different film reels to have to get the right layering. And then it's like, if you goof up a single section, you have to go back and do it again. It's like, I
Well,
don't want to do that.
it's more than that. We've talked about this briefly before, and sorry for the film lesson. Nowadays, because it's all digital, it's non-destructive. When you would edit film, you are literally cutting into a physical thing and then taping it back together. Now, we're talking about frames. Well, if you get to a point where like, ooh, I just need, I know this sounds dumb, I need one more second, 24 frames, or I need 12 frames, half a second. You got to go find that exact piece of film that you had at the end of this, splice it back together, tape it back together, and you have literally destroyed physical whatever. And it's not just as simple as undo.
And it's not like it's not obvious. You can tell on older film when there's like a rough cut or something because it's like you can just see like a slight frame shift or there's like something off and it's you can definitely see this with these is that it's like every moment there's blue screen you can see like a green or red stripe from the color filtering they did that it's like oh they used a green screen here like the worst offender and it's absolutely a product of its time is when Han and Luke are in the cockpit watching hyperspace and you can tell it is so obviously blue screened.
Yeah, it was, and that's where I was talking about. It was just rough. But let's get to probably the most important scene, and people frequently say a certain phrase that Han shot first, and I argue that is incorrect. Han shot. Greedo did not. What were your thoughts when he finally came to that?
I didn't realize how fast it was going to be because I'm so used to the original like fast one, or well, the one where Greedo and then Han, and then now they shoot at the same time, and it's such like a clusterfuck. I was expecting it to be a little more drawn out with how much people harp on this point, and it just happens, and it's like, okay, yeah, Han shot. I mean, yeah, I get the characterization, but like, it's not that big a deal. I mean, again, I get the difference in characterization, and it's definitely a writing thing where it's like when you have Han not shooting first, that's not Han Solo. That's Derp Glorp Shido or whatever joke character the fandom has made. But it's like when he shoots first, it's Han Solo being like, I don't want to deal with this. It's he's trigger happy. He's like,
Well, and that's my argument, and I agree. It's as much as I love Star Wars, this is just a footnote. But when you look at the introduction of Han Solo, the character I was first introduced to, you have this badass who sits down with this dude who's trying to give him a shakedown, trying to collect his bounty, and he just shoots him. There is no response from Greedo. He's just dead, 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 dead. And then the capper, he slowly, calmly walks over to the bartender, flips him a coin. Sorry about the mess, and leaves. What a fucking badass.
I
Now, though,
know.
you change it to be, oh, he was reacting. And it's like, that's
It's
not as piratey, smuggler dude that we first learned of in Han Solo. And that's why that's disappointing to me.
No, I completely get that. And I love it because the character I know of Han Solo is this dorky dude who somehow survives most every scrap he gets into. To me, this reads as he pulled the trigger, didn't realize he pulled the trigger until Greedo's dead, and he's like, roll with it, we got this.
Well, there are a couple of
planned
those
it.
things that are established in A New Hope that have really not stood the test of time. Namely, those what are those shots are too precise for sand people. Only
But
stormtroopers are so precise, or whatever the exact line
But
is. Like,
what's so brilliant is that it's like Alec Guinness reads it as if it's almost sarcastic.
that
That
is
it's
true.
so then when Luke says you can't see a thing in these, it's like to me it reads as Obi-Wan being like, "Oh yeah, the Imperial frickin' troopers here, they have such great aim." And then Luke's like, "I can't see a thing in these things." It's like he's throwing shade at the troopers. And it's
Well,
like
that
you kind
goes
of get
back to again Obi-Wan, Alec Guinness with his just sneaky looks like you don't know when I'm telling the truth, and then to come back with Return of the Jedi from a certain point of view, it's like,
it,
dude, you're a liar. Awesome.
you don't get Star Wars being as cohesive as it is without Alec Guinness having those micro reactions to things. You don't get the entirety of Revenge of the Sith without Obi-Wan being like, and then him smiling when he sees Luke and Leia. Sure, the original script didn't have any idea that those two were siblings or that they could have redeemed Vader as a character, but it's like Obi-Wan knows that they can save everybody. And so he's like, he knows he succeeded and he smiles. And it's just those little things that really make it cohesive. I mean, look at Yoda. People give Luke crap in the sequel trilogy for being a ruined old man. What do you think Yoda is? He fucked off to Dagobah because he failed.
He
He
got
is
his ass
Luke
kicked by
becomes.
Sidious.
Exactly. I love that meme where it's damn it, where Samuel Jackson is his character in Kingsman, and he's like, kill that motherfucker, he killed all our friends. And it's Yoda and Sidious fighting. I love that meme. But it's like Yoda was ruined because he failed. And so he basically disappeared. And then Luke comes in and he's like, oh, the one person who could probably save us all.
It was also funny watching this sort of with fresh eyes because I was actually watching it. I've literally seen this, I don't know, maybe 1,000 times. And to sit down and actually watch it is not something I normally do. Usually it's on the background or what have you. And I know some of this is rationalization, but when we first meet Obi-Wan and he's bending over Luke and he's putting his hand on his head and like, yeah, I totally get it. I never thought of it when I first was a kid, but yeah, he's force healing. Totally get it because Luke totally backed up and bonked out completely. But the other one, and I get it, it's rationalization. There's a time there where Luke is out, C-3PO's knocked over, and it's really just Kenobi and R2. He goes, hello there. And he like almost recognition, but once everybody else is alert, it's like, no, we can't. We know each other. We can't admit that though. And it's like,
yeah.
Yeah, I just love that, looking at it from that point of view, a certain point of view, that it made me happier.
And there's like a little moment where Obi-Wan like gives R2 a look of like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
How did you get here? And he knows 3PO's memory has been wiped, but he doesn't know if R2's has. And Obi-Wan just has this moment of like, how did you get here? How are you here right now?
Exactly. And in R2 of everybody is really the only one that knows every single thing that's happened since the Trade Federation on Naboo, all the way up to that point of A New Hope and being with Rebellion.
It's so funny. And it's like, again, Alec Guinness, and nobody on that set knew what this would become. But it's just that little reaction that like brings it all together, that it's like he's looking at this droid like, I came to this desert planet so nobody would come here and find me or this kid. Yeah. How did you get here?
Exactly. And now that we've seen Kenobi, the TV show, that's even more precious to have Leia talking to him, knowing that they've already had this wonderful adventure. And it's like,
I love her in that show. I don't care if her acting's a little off. She's a kid, but it's like she is very much Anakin given flesh. And you can tell Obi-Wan is like, God damn it, why?
And I know it's just silly. And again, I'm reading into it, but she is channeling Carrie Fisher.
Oh
She
yes.
is so that little girl is so pretentious, so like I am a princess, god damn it. And I just love it. Love her.
My father will come for me.
Yeah, I love it. And the difficult time she gives Kenobi because she's like, I don't know you. Awesome. But then the next big
Yeah.
one we come to, which um is an omission more than anything. Like, I think you've seen the behind the scenes of what the real original shoot looked like, but obviously you've seen what the new scene looks like because you've seen, to you, Boba Fett was introduced here as far as seeing him in armor and all that, and seeing
I
Jabba.
I didn't know that scene just wasn't in it ever. That blew my mind. I thought there was like, I thought they just almost like rotoscoped or like did some motion cap work with the Jabba model they now put in this new scene. But now it's like, it was never there to begin with. They just get to the Falcon and go. And it's so weird that it's like Jabba isn't introduced properly until episode 6. Boba Fett isn't properly introduced until episode 5. So it's just get to the Falcon and go. And it really, it honestly makes Han more of a badass that he's not like dealing with the bureaucracy of Jabba. There's not Boba Fett being set up, which to me is a weird story beat because it makes more sense to me that Boba would be introduced in episode 5. Like him just being there is like, okay, I don't see why he's here, but
It was 100% fan service, and I mean, he literally looks at the screen, and it's like,
wow,
even in
thank
'97
you.
when I first saw that, I was like, yeah, cool. Oh, that's weird.
It's like when Jack Nicholson looked at the camera in The Shining. It's like, don't do that. No, stop it. That's bad.
I did forget to bring up one thing, which is the most recent addition, and as far as I know, the last a recent addition, and it was done when Disney bought them, and I don't know who wanted this. It had to be Lucas. When Greedo yells McClunky, I still don't know what that is.
McClunky.
Like, one of the like I said, I've seen this thousands of times, and then when I was listening, like, wait, what the hell just changed? That was not having that completely was awesome.
Oh yeah, it gives me like Carabast vibes, where it's like it's just like a curse, but like it means nothing to us because we don't live in this culture. But it's so funny the little changes that are like, what was the point of this?
Exactly. And it was just literally hearing it and knowing it, and there should be a pattern and be like, wait, I've never heard that
Yeah.
word before. And
Yeah. And I will say thank you to the people who have gone in and done extensive work on that Jabba scene because it looks so much better seeing Han step on his tail now than it was in the DVD versions when they first did that digital enhancement. Because it's like, whoop, whoop. It's like you literally just shifted his image in the scene up and down, and it's like you can tell. Now they fixed it so it's a little more smooth, but it's like, thank you for fixing that because it's really obvious.
well, those are one of the things that I do think it was fan service at the time, but now that that has become canon and that's really the only version people know, it makes perfect sense. Because even when the Millennium Falcon shoots out of the spaceport, Mos Eisley, that's not shown in the one we watched. All you see is them in space. And it's like that little added CG of it rising out and basically going off planet. You're like, necessary. As weird as it was like, I missed that.
Yeah. It's oh god, I'm already blanking on what the proper terminology for that kind of shot is, but it's like you need that. It's a transition shot. You need that to convey that people got there. It's like, yeah, you can fill in the gaps in your own head, but it's like it's not easy to do that when you don't have that jump as a cut. And it's what I really like about this is from a historical and cultural point of view, this is how mythology worked. You had the original story, and then you had one person reworking it as they went. And then after that's done, people took that and then reworked it to their liking. Look at the Odyssey. The original draft that Homer wrote is not the draft we know. He continuously revised it and republished it and redistributed it across ancient Greece. And this is what we're seeing with Star Wars. Lucas made the original, and then he went back in and touched it up and changed things. And from a historical standpoint, we are watching modern mythology as it unfolds, and it is so fascinating to just see that. But enough of the really nerdy stuff. Next, we get to. I love Star Wars space scenes because they are so technically impressive. But goddamn, they are rough in Episode 4. Ooh.
And this is where I was talking about. You see, like, the edges of the cockpit, and it should be much darker, much blacker. But now we're seeing grays, and we're like, ugh. But then we're also seeing, like James mentioned, the blue screen lines where the special effect was. And then we're seeing some awful meteor footage and blur lines to get the light speed. And you're like, I had not realized how much work they had done to touch it up until
my God. Yeah, and it's like, I know exactly how they shot the asteroids. It was just glitter. You just had someone over it, dusting glitter over the camera, and it's so obvious. And it's honestly kind of comical.
It was rough. And that's the appreciation I'm giving. Yes, I am frustrated still with Lucas changing Han shooting. But looking at all the other changes, Star Wars is almost unwatchable in that version. Again, I can't talk the film version. I've seen the re-releases and all that, but I've never seen the unedited version in my memory, I should say. Yes, as a kid, but I haven't seen it in so long that I don't remember. So I can't speak to the film version, but watching this DVD version, standard definition, it was rough.
It's like watching 1982 Tron. I love it. I will always rewatch it, but it's like I really have to get into the mindset of it was early for its time. It was revolutionary. It looks stupid. Just go with it. It's like you really got to work hard to suspend your disbelief. And I don't find it hard because it's like I love where I can, like, I don't care if the movie's visual effects are stupid as fuck. It's fun to watch how they put it together. And at least I can appreciate it from that standpoint. Yeah, I'm going to laugh when I see somebody shaking glitter over a camera to simulate asteroids. But at the same time, it's like I can see the errors in the editing. And it's like, ooh.
It was, we forgot. I'm sorry. We forgot about an edit that I still don't understand that you finally got to see.
Oh, yes.
Wolfman in the cantina. Like, I don't know what they figured out. I don't get it. He's not. I don't know. He's not doing anything weird.
Did Warren Zevon file a lawsuit? I mean,
no.
That werewolf was not in London.
I was like, there he is. See, I don't know why it's a one-take Drake that they didn't want, but yeah, that just popped in my head that
and it
was another weird edit that I didn't quite understand.
A lot of the CG characters added into the Mos Eisley scenes. It was weird seeing them not there.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm so used to seeing it be more lively, and Mos Eisley looks a lot less lively. But I mean, it makes sense. It's during the day. It's meant to be more of a night city because, the desert is fucking hot during the day. I would know. I may or may not have grown up in one. But it's like, I get it, and then I get the changes, and it's just interesting seeing that. But I mean, the fucking dude, whatever the fuck with the snoot, he's there. He's still there. That's
another thing we forgot to talk about. Because of the transfer quality, we really got to see some charred remains of Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru.
that is funny to me that it's like, oh well, there's your aunt and uncle, Luke. They didn't have a fun time.
I still like the theory. Now, granted, it makes them as bad, quote unquote, parents or custodians because they fake their own death and get rid of Luke. But given the events of Kenobi and how they stood up to the
freaking Inquisitioner,
yeah. So they
Inquisitor, my bad,
Inquisitors that they faked their deaths so that the Empire would leave them alone. I like that theory, but then it really paints them as bad aunt and uncle and custodians too.
I don't know, because at the same time, it's like they understand the importance for Luke. They know that this is crucial for his journey. So at the same time, it's like they could also recognize it as like, we have no choice. He has to experience this.
So moving on to some of the other things. The other thing that stood out to me was we see
That's no moon.
Destroyed. Was that impressive or what?
It's so stupid. I'm sorry.
Firecracker.
That's one of the changes I really appreciate about the new stuff is that it's like, yes, thank you for letting me see how they did it originally. It looks dumb as hell.
It literally is a ball with a firecracker and shot in slow motion, and it's impressive for the time. But now that we see like the concussion come off of it and just the digital repercussions, we're like, yeah, that's way cooler than that thing. And then we saw the special effects. Oh, it was so hard with Luke learning, being trained on the Millennium Falcon by Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you see the little blaster dude going around.
Oh my God, it's so obvious, and it's
it
like
reminds me of the early days of Phantasm when you have the silver ball flying around. You're like, wow, that's
and
lame.
it's like it doesn't help that you have the digital re-releases making the explosion 10 times better.
Yeah.
Or Rogue One making just planetary wiping, just surface wiping so much more threatening. So it's like you see this and you're like, it looks like the planet farted itself out of existence.
Yeah. It was. Yeah.
But it is, I do appreciate that they didn't go in and make it so that it looked like modern Michael Bay explosions, where it's like fire explosions. Every one of the pyrotechnics looks like what an actual grenade or like blaster explosion would look like. There's no fire there. It's just a release of pressure, which forms as like Mr. Gas. And so I do appreciate that when they went to do the planet exploding, it looks like how a planet would when it explodes. It's not a giant fiery ball. It's just a release of pressure. Sorry, that's a physics nerd me.
Well, then we get to That's No Moon, and we see it's the same pretty much, except that the layering and the piecing it together, like you see the big ball and then you see the little Millennium Falcon coming in. You're like, boy, that's rough.
I will say, you go from like a really rough, like pulled back shot of the Death Star to then the beautiful matte painting of its side as the Falcon enters. And it's jarring because you go from this funky, clunky shot that you're like, okay, I see what's going on here, to then like beautiful matte painting, beautiful composition. And you're like, damn, this is the same movie.
But that also then draws your eye to the set design, because as they're running around the Death Star and Kenobi's out turning off the tractor beam, and of course there's no railings anywhere, it's just like, wow, they really did a bang up job creating these interiors. It's amazing. Even going back to Tantive 4 with the interiors, it's like, this is amazing what they're doing here.
I know, right? If I talk to a Star Wars nerd and I say the Empire, the first thing they're going to think of is like the interior of those ships. It is so ingrained because the set design was so damn good. It's like those lights that are like the bars with the rounded edges. It's like everybody knows that's the Empire. Everybody knows that's the bad guys because it's such good set design. Like, you know, when you're inside an Imperial freighter versus a Rebellion freighter, because it's like you just know what's what.
That's very true. So
and honestly, sorry.
We get a gang running around, getting in trouble. Most
3PO!
Pretty much the same, but we see little things like when, hey, come on up here, and they're luring the troopers up. Well, the troopers went through and they don't talk to each other.
No, that was weird.
They talk, and I knew they didn't talk because it bothered me that they have since then. Then you get to C-3PO's explanation when they're going over the plans and that where the tractor beam is, and it's like not an explanation at all. It's like, I don't know, 10 seconds, whereas in the new one he like breaks down everything and whatever, and it's so weird that these little things became bigger, longer explanations. I'm not exactly sure why those changes.
And I can definitely see it as it was like, we don't know how to explain this, so we're going to kind of cheat it by not explaining it, which is like how sci-fi really works. That it's like you say something and then you pretend it's like a given thing. I can definitely see why George Lucas wanted to go in and fully explain it, because he felt like now that he understood, he could do it. And it's like, I get that it's like every science fiction writer wants to explain how the science works. And so that's kind of why he went back in and did that. At the same time, though, it's like, it doesn't take away by not having that explanation.
And then perhaps my favorite choice of all time, the billions of money this movie has made, and the one goof that they did not fix, the stormtrooper still hits his helmet on the door.
And it's...
yes, it would have been a difficult fix, but it frame by frame, you could have erased that dude.
And I deeply appreciate that because over time, stormtroopers have kind of become like the lovable idiots of the Star Wars universe, and they weren't supposed to be. But they kind of are, even in that movie, just unintentionally. You have the two idiots who are welcomed into the ship and then clanked on the head so they get the disguises. You have the dude bonking his head on the door. And then you have the two like talking about ship specs while Obi-Wan is doing stuff. And I love that's become like a modern standard that anytime you have two stormtroopers doing nothing, they're talking about ship specs. It's so funny to me. But it's like, I love that because the character has like his own name. He's his own established character, stormtrooper, whatever. But it's like, I feel like it really helps to characterize that it's like, yeah, they can't see shit in those helmets. And it really shows that they are incompetent soldiers drafted into the Empire forcibly.
Yeah, that's very true. So then we get down to the garbage chute. Everything's pretty much the same here.
Oh, wait, but we can't forget the best improvisation in any Star Wars movie. Fine. How are you? Boring conversation anyways.
Large leak. Yeah. What's your operating number? Boring conversation. Yeah, I agree. This is where Harrison Ford is perfect as Han Solo. And I know I read this recently. I've known this for a while. He wanted to not be Han Solo anymore. And even coming back for the Disney, it was like a paycheck. But that's what makes him Han Solo, is that attitude that he doesn't want to be Han Solo. And it's perfect.
It's like the movie Han Solo characterizes him perfectly. He's improvising the whole way through. Yep. None of that was planned. So everything he's doing, he's pulling the shit out his ass. The Kessel Run, complete accident. Him managing to take down Red Dawn, whatever, Crimson Dawn, complete accident. Him surviving anything, complete accident. So then him pulling this crap where he's like, large leak.
Very dangerous.
Fine. How are you? Boring conversation. It was just like, that's Han Solo. That's Han Solo.
And that gets to my next big one that I remember is they all of a sudden run into stormtroopers as they're trying to find their way back to the Millennium Falcon. And what does Han do? He chases after them. Hilarious. I love this. And then Chewie's like, oh, God damn it. So he chases after Han, and then Luke and Leia are left to their own, like, But what I love is we get to this end, and in the new ones, all of a sudden they're in this spaceport where all these stormtroopers are. Whereas in this version, the original, they just come up to a dead-end wall, and the stormtroopers like, nowhere else to go. Oh, we're going to fight back. And Han's like, oh, shit.
It's like, if it were only the whole hangar of stormtroopers, it would be funny. But because the original version was the dead end where the stormtroopers are like, oh, we got him, it's like that's funnier because you have Han running into this situation where he thinks he's got him on the ropes, and then they turn it back on him, and he's like, oh, shit.
And so now he's got Chewie, and Chewie's like, wait, you just went, oh, shit. Like,
fuck.
But this is like, where it drives me nuts, where people are like, oh, but the original Star Wars, they were made for kids. That is an awesome joke.
I mean,
it's funny, and it's kids.
Exactly. The existence of R2-D2 and 3PO are comic relief every sense of the way. And I saw someone try to say that they are not like, obviously it's a joke, but they tried to say that it's like they don't give off like married gay couple vibes. It's like, have you met a married gay couple? It's just R2-D2 and 3PO. They are a gay married couple, and I don't care what anybody says. It's so funny to see them like get mad at each other and have that like interplay. It's like, come on, guys.
Oh, it's hilarious. Like, one doesn't even talk. And his beeps and still sound like communication that we understand.
Exactly.
It's hilarious when they do that.
And it's like, I hate when people are like, they don't get the joke that they're like a gay married couple. It's like they have known each other for literal decades in this universe.
Yeah.
That it doesn't matter if they're gay or not in the context of like popular culture and what we understand from it. It's just funny, and they give off those vibes. Sorry, that's just me getting frustrated at incels on the internet. But
so
it's
the next big mistake that they did correct, but you now got to see it as they are heading to the Millennium Falcon, and even before this, the lightsabers are rough. They are rough. I forgot how bad they were.
Oh my God! And it's like,
go ahead.
Oh, it is. you see it on the internet here and there. You see like where people point it out where like the door is closing, or you see like the color issues, all that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, the first time you see a lightsaber, it's like a weird blue-gray when Luke lights his father's lightsaber. And then in the fight, it's like a little rough because you could tell they didn't have the coloring down. So the red and the blue are like a little faded and funky. But then you have Vader walking towards the door and it's just a stick. And it's like, oh, you guys missed that one hardcore.
And what's interesting, they did not fix that in the original 97 release. It was still there for some time. It was only recently, and I can't tell you which version, where they finally colored it red, which makes sense, but it was just a silver stick, and it's hilarious to see Darth Vader walking towards the closing blast door with a silver stick in his hand.
Yes, it is incredibly comical, and it's just a little thing. It's kind of like when you show me when James Caan whiffs that stage punch in The Godfather. It's like you see it once and you never unsee it. It's like it's stuck in your head.
Well, now what's funny is you'll watch it again, the new version, and you'll be like, oh, damn, it's not there.
Yeah,
it's in fact, one other small change, which seems so small, but when, again, Han and Chewie are outrunning the stormtroopers, and you hear in this version, close the blast door, close the blast door. Blast door closes, but they jump through it. You don't hear anything else. And the new ones, they then say, open the blast door, open the blast door. And it's just that little more of childish humor. It works either way. It doesn't matter, but it's just funny, that little difference that Lucas wanted. It's funny.
And I do appreciate that. That really goes to enhancing the stormtroopers as idiots. And then it's like, close the blast door, close the blast door. Fuck, open it, open it. And it's like, yeah, these movies were made for kids. They're not meant to be like hyper complex. And the best way I can put it is, yes, Frank Herbert has his comparisons with Dune and Star Wars. I don't get it. I think it's stupid. Dune is meant for adults. It's meant to be mature and complex. Star Wars is not. It's for kids. Yeah, there's social complexity and political complexity, but you have to analyze it and dig deep for that. And you have to remember, it's for kids. You have a freaking droid on like 4 wheels. It's like, burp, 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 burp. It's like, that was specifically designed to make kids go, ha ha.
Exactly.
Chewbacca.
They're like one of your favorite parts, when Obi-Wan is turning off the tractor beam.
Oh my God, it's so stupid. And that's just him turning off the tractor beam, which that's a beauty of prop and set design, that they managed to make a believable like central control terminal, and it's just a bunch of flips and switches, but it's like
with no railings.
Oh, no railings. It's like Intergalactic OSHA is not going to be happy about this. God, like you pointed out all the time, there's no fucking railings in the Death Star. You'd think for an empire that like has to like forcibly draft its soldiers and make sure they have manpower, they wouldn't want people falling into the like giant death laser beam. But no, they don't have railings.
But what room has railings? The Emperor's throne room.
Shit, you're right.
The only one that I can think of has railings.
The only one that has railings. And it's like, oh my God. And it's, I mean, another thing, it's like you would think a laser that fucking big would emit a lot of radiation, and there is no protection. Like kyber crystals.
I love how they flinch too. When it goes by, they're like, oh.
It's like, you have a giant freaking death laser beam and people standing next to it, and you didn't think to build, I don't know, like a protective case?
Well, in fairness, they have retconned that because now we know it's kyber crystals. Well, if the Jedi can walk around with lightsabers and there's no problem, then obviously that's not a problem. Maybe a little hot.
I don't know. I would think, though, that the more, it's almost like bananas. It's like a single banana isn't going to kill you. But if you have like thousands of bananas encasing you, it will kill you with radiation poisoning. So it's like, I feel like that concentrated beam would probably cause like cancer.
I didn't see anybody at the arena in Attack of the Clones with all those lightsabers worried about cancer.
But it's like so little. The kyber chunks they have are like, we saw it in Rebels. It's like big, so very big.
You're saying you'd rather hold a little thing of plutonium than a big thing of plutonium?
Yeah, because that'll kill me slower.
Oh.
Yeah, at least then I can amputate the fingers. That's a whole other thing. But it's then we get to like the big showcase at the end, the Battle of Yavin 4. And oh, you can tell the green screen was rough on this one.
Most definitely. And there's a lot of scenes that
blue screen.
Yeah, Folks, generically, green screen is the term, but yes, in Star Wars lore, they used blue screen. Anywho,
Yeah.
the scenes that have been omitted, we don't see Biggs Darklighter all excited to see Luke Skywalker, and then having, I can't remember his name, Gold Leader or Red Leader sitting there on the ground talking. We don't have any of that.
And Blue Squadron completely cut because they couldn't get the colors to work, which they retconned in Rogue One that it's like they get eradicated. Which
still,
fun little detail.
Jumping a little ahead, still pisses me off that you have Rogue One and you use Gold Squadron. It's there. Cool. You use some of the footage and the text that they say, dialogue. You can't make Jack Porkins look cool. Like, you could have had him do something badass in Rogue One. No. All we still get is him dying before any starfighters get out there. Just a cannon. I'm all right. Oh, way to go.
If I had a nickel for every time a competent starfighter got hit from the back of their ship and exploded, I'd have 2 nickels. Rest in peace, Plo Koon and Porkins.
Yeah, but Plo Koon was shot by his quote-unquote friend.
That is true. That is true.
I don't know what.
Yeah, Porkins got screwed on that one.
That
but
still
makes
me mad that they couldn't have retconned that in Rogue One. Anywho,
and it's watching the final Death Star battle. It's rough, but it's impressive how little they really touched things up in the end. A lot of it was just fixing the colors and then making sure the blue screen wasn't obvious. And it's like the rest of it, it just looks like what's the modern equivalent. And it's really impressive to me.
A lot. If you rewatch the new version, you'll see a lot of added CG X-Wings. They really do, when they first are approaching and they have the moon of Yavin off in the sort of side. It's just beautiful as the wings come out and they go into attack formation. They have a lot of those that are beautiful. There's a couple with Wedge as he's going around that they've added. And that's the other one that I was thinking, well, the darks needed to be darker because we could see inside these cockpits pretty hardcore, especially the Y wings. And it was like, oh boy, I don't want to see that much detail on this stuff. It needs to be darker because you could see the special effects and it wasn't awesome. Hard to watch. For the most part, a lot of that story is the same. A lot of special effects are the same, which is impressive. Still, to me, is the same emotional pull of Luke doing that final run.
Use the Force.
Love it. That first time we get a Space Ghost. Well, second time, technically. Run, Luke, run. But we get Space Ghost in the form of Obi-Wan, stronger than you'll ever imagine. And then Han Solo comes back to save the day. A lot of the same special effects, little minor things that don't exist that just cleaned it up, like we said. But the next big one was the explosion of the Death Star.
I would like to really quickly add, though, that Vader, I saw somebody do the math on this. He was spinning after his TIE fighter backup nicked him. He was spinning for like a full 2 minutes. So just keep that in mind.
Let's also discuss how most films are not told linearly in real time, like this.
But he was spinning for 2 minutes. It was funny.
When you do a stopwatch. But if you look at it and be like, oh yeah, he was spinning, got knocked out of the way, then it blew up. Oh, but then we cut back to him.
Yeah. No, I mean, but yeah, he probably just readjusted
out of the way of the explosion.
But it's just funny to imagine that, one of the most competent pilots in the universe. But this is pod racing.
So again, we get a firecracker exploding from a ball. And
then we just the same explosion?
No.
Oh, okay. So it's a different one.
Yeah, because they actually use something that was Earth-like with what Alderaan was to this silver gray ball.
Okay, maybe it's a different one where they reuse an explosion. I can't remember. But it's like it's impressive for its time, but it looks like the Death Star farted out of existence.
It looks bad. And then all the way to the end, where we now see a really rough and beat up R2. Yes, we saw it in the new ones, but this one, because of the effects and all that, he just looks even more crappy.
Yeah.
The wonderful matte painted and mannequins in the final metal scene.
It is so. I remember sitting down. We were watching it. I'm ready to see it. I'm like, oh, this is where they have all the extras. It is just a fucking matte painting, and I'm like, oh, Oh,
And I even knew
somebody
that
got
when
fired.
rewatching it. It was like only the people that are on the inside line when they go to clap and all that are live that you see as they're walking down. And I just knew it. And then watching it again, I'm like, oh,
Oh,
that's hard.
it's like, oh God, what the hell am I looking at? I know this is a matte painting and it's beautiful, but like, oh, it's so obvious.
So
Oh,
all in all, the first one, A New Hope, affectionately known as Star Wars, it was a hard watch. I did not have the nostalgia I thought I would have. It was very like, this is literally hard to watch. Again, I can't speak to what the film will look like, but the standard definition version, it was hard to watch. And again, the only scene that I was really still missing was I wish they had not messed with Han just
yeah.
shooting Greedo right away. Other than that, I really, really, really appreciate the re-release in the 97 and the updates since then because it makes it a better story and a better film overall, in my opinion.
Yes, very much so. I appreciate it. I love that I can see all the aspects of filmmaking without the CG. But at the same time, it's like that's a one and done watch. I really don't want to rewatch it because I'll be able to point out so clearly all the effect errors. And it's far less fun when when you can point out what they goofed than when if you can just watch it and have fun with it. And it's like what really keeps it together and why he did such a great job is John Williams' score. It's like it's not as believable if you don't have his score on it, and it really ropes you back in when you're like starting to lose it when you can see the blue screen lines or the obvious cockpit.